guys, welcome at part 4 of the Reason Studios live setup series of tutorials. In this series we're looking at creating a live setup with Reason, where you can play multiple instruments with one or more keyboards. In our previous parts we have covered mapping a single keyboard to multiple virtual instruments, and also adding a hold to an instrument so we can keep playing it short while playing other instruments on top of it. So what we're going to cover this tutorial is adding a second physical keyboard. So previously we've worked with this keyboard, the Novation launch key, and now we're going to introduce our second keyboard, which is the EMU export. For this we're going to use a MIDI bus. So if we go to Reason, and all the way in the top we have the hardware interface, we expand it and then we select Advanced MIDI right here. And in Advanced MIDI you will see 4 buses, A, B, C, D, and for each bus you will see different channels. So what we're going to do is we're going to map each bus to a device. So we're going to edit, preferences, and we're not going at control surface like previously, but we're going to sync. And this, for you this may look like this, or a single keyboard is selected for all buses. So what we're going to do is for bus A we're going to use our launch key MIDI, and for bus B we're going to use the EMU export. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because we want to play one instrument with one keyboard and play another instrument with another keyboard. Now we have a single combinator with our 3 external instruments that we created last time. Now what I'm going to do is split this up into 2 combinators, one for the launch key and the other for the EMU export. So I'm going to duplicate this device and tracks. I'm going to keep the first one as for the Novation launch key. The second one will be the EMU export. So I want to be playing my bass line and my lead synth on the launch key, and I want to be playing my strings on the EMU export. So our first external instrument was the Venus strings, so I'm gonna delete that from the launch key. Yes, delete it, and then for the EMU export I'm going to delete the other 2 instruments. Delete. Okay, now I need to change the mapping a bit. Let's see if this still works. So button 1, 2, and 3 they're all connected to my launch key, and I don't want that because I want to be able to enable and disable the Venus strings on the EMU export. So I'm going to change the remote override mapping of button 1 of the EMU export. I'm gonna map it to pad 1 on my launch key, and I will get a question saying, do you want to replace it? Yes. Then if I press this, that works. Button 1 in the Novation launch key is not used anymore. You could map it to button 1 and 2 instead of 2 and 3, but it doesn't really matter for now. So now if I select this Novation launch key, for example, I enable my bass line, which was 2. That works just fine. But if I play this on the let's see, enable the lead synth, play it with the launch key, that works fine. However, if I play it with my EMU export, it still works, which is not what I want because I only want to be playing my strings there. So that's where the MIDI bus comes in. So bus A, I'm going to say channel 1, I'm going to map it to my launch key combinator in. And because as you remember, bus A, we mapped our launch key MIDI device there. Bus B is the EMU export. There I'm going to say channel 1, map it to EMU export combinator in. Make sure you don't use the mix channel, because that's not that's just for outputting sound. So if I do the same again, that works. And if I play, the thing is, if I play it now on the other keyboard, it still works, but it's because I still have selected this one as my as the device that I want to play. So what I'm going to do is create a dummy track or a dummy device. So I'm just going to create an empty combinator, and I'm going to call this focus. So if you start your live performance, you want to have the focus on this device. So when you start playing, okay, that works. See, now you see the notes coming in on this focus, but it's not doing anything. But all the mapping is going through the MIDI bus, and it ends up at the actual devices. So you see here, if I play my launch key, that works. If I play the EMU export, I don't hear anything. If I now enable my strings here, and that works just fine. So, why is it useful to have two keyboards? Well, the thing is that I can now just say, okay, I'm going to trigger a chord here. A nice Venus strings chord. And then I'm going to start playing. But if I want to change chords, I don't have to enable and disable the devices. Because previously I would have had to disable the Venus strings, keep it on hold so it keeps playing, then enable the lead synth to play a melody, okay, and then disable that one again, go back to the strings to change a chord. So that doesn't really work very well. So having two keyboards works a lot better. And then you can do stuff like this, which is pretty cool. So that's it for this tutorial. We learned adding a second keyboard to our setup to have a bit more flexibility in playing multiple instruments at once. Also using the hold function that we introduced in the previous tutorial. So the next tutorial is going to be about recording your live set.